Impact-driven leaders model what learning looks like. I'll never forget the moment when this principle became really real for me. Prior to starting this business 3 years ago, I worked for a company called Ramsey Solutions, and specifically I worked for a business unit within that company called EntreLeadership. And it was our biggest event of the year, and specifically on the stage was probably the most anticipated speaker of that event. The room was filled with thousands of people. The speaker was Alan Mulally. He was the CEO that was really considered by many to be the architect of Ford's turnaround, and the reason why Ford didn't take the government bailout in 2008 because of his forward-thinking leadership and because of the way he systematically introduced healthy organizational accountability and also culture back into the Ford organization. So he was on the stage, and it was so fascinating to watch because I was sitting in the audience. I was 26 at the time, and I just so admired Alan, number one, for the way he presented, but beyond that, it was just so interesting to watch the room and just see thousands of people really just basically captivated in the palm of this guy's hand. And I would kind of like just scanned over the room. I was sitting towards the side, and something at the back of the room caught my attention. I saw Dave Ramsey, who was the owner and CEO of this $250 million company at the time. It's bigger now. Thousands of team members, right? Over 60 years old, I'm pretty sure at that time. And he was sitting in the back of the room, which, number one, it's the event that he's hosting. So he wasn't in the green room. He wasn't off stage, even though he had a talk later that day. He was sitting in the back of the room. He was sitting at a table, and I'll never forget looking back and just marveling at what I saw, because what I saw was he was sitting down and he was taking notes. He was listening attentively to every word Alan was saying, and he was writing things down clearly that stood out to him. And it was at that moment that I experienced something that I think I logically believe, but I don't think I fully emotionally understood it yet. This growth thing, it never ends. And that's what I want you to hear. This growth thing, it never ends. And that's so important for you to know, because that's how you create this virtuous cycle where you're always moving forward, where you're operating in perpetual stages of abundance, where you're considering the fact that the best is yet to come, where your peak hasn't happened yet, and you're constantly moving forward. But why are you doing it? You're moving forward in service of others. I love that line from the Psalms, from strength to strength. That's what motivates this learning and this growth mindset. And then the second piece that we have to remember is that you are modeling what learning looks like. You are modeling what curiosity looks like. You are modeling what humility looks like. So what does it look like for you to ask curious questions, for you to lean in to conversations, for you to believe that everyone has something to teach you, for you to be really, really humble and coachable in the way that you approach situations, the way that you approach new information, for you to constantly be reading and listening to podcasts and seeking out new connections? What does it look like for you to be a model of what learning looks like, so that people, when they see you, they have this spark in their head that says, oh, this growth thing, it never ends. And they get this sense that the best is yet to come, that there's always something around the corner, that there's always more that could be done in service of others. Impact-driven leaders model what learning looks like. Let's go.